Bruchim Haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Samich Aleph Amud Beis at the very top. Our Mishnah taught us that a person shechs the Korban Pesach and he has kavana for those who can not eat a kezayis of the Korban Pesach, or those who are not included in the Chabura, or those who are not able, they're also from eating because they're either areilim or they're tmeim. So the Korban Pesach is rendered invalid, it's possible. The Seif of the Mishnah taught us, however, if he does include in his kavana for those who can eat or not eat, those who are included in the Chabura and those who are not included in the Chabura, those who are tmeim or those who are taharim, those who are areilim and those who are lamulim, all of those will make it so it's still kosher, it's a kosher korban. The Gemara now says, what happens when shochtoi lemulin almanas sheyiskapru boy areilim bezrika? What happens when he shechs the Korban Pesach for those who are circumcised? That itself, so far so good. But then it states that he then has intention that those who are areilim or non-circumcised will then fulfill their obligation of Korban Pesach with the zrikas hadam. Rav Chizda Omar Posul, Rabba Omar Kosher. It's machlokes Rav Chizda and Rabba. Rav Chizda Omar Posul, Yesh Machsheves Areilim Bezrika. Rabba Omar Kosher, Ein Machsheves Areilim Bezrika. Rav Chizda says that it's Posul. Why? Because the Machshava that he for Areilim for the Zrika, that itself has an effect that is going to then take effect and therefore poisel the korban, whereas Rabbah says it has no bearing whatsoever. The Gemara now explains this machlekes. Omar Rabbi Mina Minala. Rabbah says, what do I know to say that indeed it's kosher? Because ein machsheves areilim bezrika. The Tanya, as the following brisa states, Yochel, I might think, Yifsel b'nei chaburo haboin imoi, the orel will posel the rest of the chabura who is together with him. That means to say, when somebody shechs a Korban Pesach with the intention of the orel together with the other b'nei chabur who are not areilim, who are indeed mulin, lamulin, then I might think that he is poisel. V'dinhu, and I will prove to you that this is not so. Hoyil ve'orla poiselis v'tuma poiselis, since both orla is poisel and tuma is poisel, that means to say that both of them are not fitting to eat the korban. Ma tuma lo yasa ba mikzas tuma bekol tuma. Af orla lo yasa ba mikzas orla bekol tuma. Just as when it comes to tuma, we don't say that if mikzas tuma, some are tameh and some are tohor, it's not poisil. We don't say that it's poisil if it's just going to be mikzas. We only say it's poisil if it's all tuma. So too, when it comes to orla, if it's going to be mikzas areilim and mikzas lamulin, then it's not poisil, only if it's all areilim. Oi, klach lederech zu, or the Brisa says, you shall go in this way, meaning in the following argument. Hoyel ve'orla poiselis zman poisel. Just as orla and zman is poisel from eating the korban, it's poisel the korban. Zman refers to when you have the improper thought that you're going to eat outside the designated time. So mazman also bo mikzas zman kikol zman. Just as when one has the improper thought that he's going to eat only a kazayis of the basar outside the proper zman, but the rest he'll eat in the proper zman, so it's mikzas zman, and therefore that will be poisil. Af orla osa ba mikzas orla kikola orla. So too, when it comes to orla, we'll say mikzas orla, even if there's only some areilim together with the lamulim, that will also poisil. The Gemara says, Nira lemi doime. Let us see to which argument is more similar. Do we say like the first argument, that it's doime to tuma, and therefore mikzas areilim will not be poisel? Or do you say it's doimet to zman, whereby miktsas arelim will yes be poisel? Danin dover she'eino noyheg bekol hazvachim midover she'eino noyheg bekol hazvachim. Let us learn out that which is not applicable in all of zvachim, namely orla, from something that's also not applicable in all of zvachim, namely tuma. And don't let zman prove which is noeg in all of types of karbonos. So it says over here that when it comes to this argument that we're going to learn out, orla, we're going to learn orla from tuma then rather than orla from zman, because orla and tuma, both of them are eino noeg in all of zvachim. Dahainu, all of zvachim, both orla and tuma, they themselves are not applicable because they do not have to eat the carbon. They have to just then shecht, and since they can go ahead and send a shaliach to do the carbon, so therefore it's not going to be something that an orla and a tuma would have problems with. But when it comes to a carbon pesach, where one must eat the carbon, then both the orla and the tuma is applicable, and therefore al yochiach, then zman, which is noyeh because zvachim, zman, you can't send a shaliach. Anytime you have zman that is in the outside of the time that's designated, it's going to then poisel in all karbonos. That's one argument. Or klach lederech zu, or then learn out from this derech. Danin davar shelo yehutar michloloi. Let us learn out that when it comes to all of the karbonos, that all the karbonos are permitted to be eaten by the orla, by the orel, from something. Sorry, all the karbonos are not being able to be eaten by an orel, from also zman that cannot be eaten by anybody who thought outside the proper time. And don't then use tuma to prove, because tuma has an exception when roiv the tzibur is tamei, then we say that it's hutra, that it's mutter to then bring the carbon, and when it comes to carbon pesach, to even eat the carbon. Talmud loymar zois. Therefore, we have the posuk that says zois. In the posuk, it states zois chukas hapesach. This is the law of the carbon pesach, meaning to say, therefore, we'll use the word zois to prove, like we said before, that you learn out that miktsas arelim is going to be mutter. Ask the Gemara, my zois, how can zois prove this? The Gemara explains. Ilema de kula orla posla miksasa loy posla. If you're going to say that all of the orla, when you shech for all of the orla, it's posel, but only for miktas orla, it's not. Then hi mikol orla nafka. That we already learned out from mikol. The words in the pasuk states zois chukas ha-pesach, and then it goes on to say in the parsha, it says v'chol orel lo yoichal boy. So from the v'chol arel, we already know that's only if all arelim is going to be poisel. But if it's going to be miktas, not poisel. And therefore, elalav hochiktani. It must be that the brisa did not include all of the words. It only said zois, but it means zois chukas ha-pesach and v'kol arel. Tamulomer v'kol arel kula arla posla miktas la posla. Only if it's all arelim. If he's shechting for all arelim, then it's poisel. But if he's shechting for miktas arelim and miktas lamulin, then it's kosher. The chiteimo hu adin the zrika, the kula arla mi apostle. Maybe you'll say that then when it comes to orla, we'll then use the same argument. Say when it's all arelim, then it's also going to be posel. Talmud loymar zois. For that, in regards to the zrika, it says zois chukas ha-pesach. This specifically in Gabi, the shechting of the Korban Pesach, when it's all for arelim, is going to be posel, but the zrika not. B'shchita hu dekula orla miha poslo. Aval zrika afilu kula orla nami loy posla. Again, the orla is only going to be poisel by the shchita if it's all arelim. But for the zrika, it's not going to be poisel. V'chiteima, if you're going to say, my kula, the zrika. Why is zrika more mekil? When it comes to shchita, we say it is poisel if it's for all the arelim. Yet when it comes for the zrika of all the arelim, it's not poisel. Why are we more mekil when it comes to zrika? Answers the Gemara, De'ein machsheves oichlin bezrika. Because we don't have the machshava that the oichlin is going to be effective for zrika. It's only going to be effective for the shchita, and therefore, if it's zorek for all of the arelim, it's not going to be poisel. That's the argument of Rabbah, and that's why Rabbah says it's going to be kosher in our case when he shochta lamulin almanas she's kapru boy arelim bizrika. Rav Chizda and Rav Chizda, who argued and said it's going to be posul, Adrabah li'idach gisa. He says, on the contrary, in the other direction, in the other way. Explains Talmud loymar v'kol orel. The fact that the pasuk says v'kol orel, kuloi orla poslo miktzas loy poslo. As we learn, we say that all of the arelim, that's going to be poisil when he's sheikhid for all the arelim. However, if he's sheikhid for only miktzas arelim and miktzas lamulin, it's going to be kosher. Aval zrika, afilu miktzasa nami poslo. But when it comes to zrika, even miktzas will be poisil. V'chiteimu hu adin lezrika. Why are we making a chiluk? Say the same way by shchita, mitzvah shchita for arelim is going to be kosher. Why don't we say the same thing by zrika? Why are we more machmir when it comes to zrika? That ika kula arela arla loy posla. Why are we saying that and saying only if it's all of the arelim is going to be posel? Talmud loy mar zois. That's why we have the pasuk zois to teach me shchita hu de miktzasa loy posla aval zrika afilu miktzasa posla. Zos teach me that when it comes to shchita, this is the law of the Korban Pesach. This of the shchita that it's miktzas arelim, miktzas lemulim, then it is going to be kosher. But what it's going to be for the zrika of even miktzas arelim, it will be posel. V'chitemo my chumer de zrika. So why are we more machmir when it comes to zrika? At the end of the day, shchita b'miktzas is only going to be kosher, whereas zrika l'miktzas is going to be posel. Why? Why are we darshaning this way? V'zois. Answer Gemara, because the lo mikba pigul ela bezrika. Zrika has a chumrah that when the person thinks that he's going to eat the basar outside of the designated time, in one of the 4 avodas, it's called pigul, and he's chayiv koris. It's b'shogi, he's chayiv in a korban chatos. However, if he does anything else that will then be invalid, something that's lo kidin, then it's not going to be designated as pigul, and that's only going to be determined at the zrika, the last stage when he's zarek the dam. Therefore, because of the chumrah of zrika, we say that we're machmir here as well, and therefore Rav Chizda argues that when it comes to mitzvahs zrika, mitzvahs areim for zrika, it will poisel the korban.